It wasn't too long ago where I created a video called How to Play the Cypher System in 10 minutes. That's right, 10 minutes. I give you the bare bones and you can dive right in and give you 85% of what you need to know, and you'll know pretty much the basic systems of the game. And then that video, I was reading in the comments, there were some people who wanted me to make a character creation video. How do you make a character in the Cypher System? What is it all about? Well, as Providence would have it, I already had it on the schedule that I was going to create that video, and here we are today to continue with that in part one of our character creation in the Cypher System. And we have two parts that'll be back to back. So this Tuesday, it's part one. Next week, it'll be part two. So I'm not gonna let you wait too long there. Now, if you're interested in any of the Cypher System products, then I will have them linked down in the description below. You can go ahead and take a look at them, whether you like PDFs or whether you like the hardcover versions. I suggest you get both. I'm not saying that just because, but you'll find out during this video why I say that. For those of you who have just joined us for the first time, thanks for coming. My name is Servant of Shiloh. This is RPG Elite. And today we're just gonna slide right into the video. On the other side, we're gonna have the question of the vid along with some other things. So let's get into this right now and roll. This is the Cypher System character sheet, and we're going to be going through this in all of the different sections here, as you can see, but we are not going to go through how all of this works in the game. I will say some of this stuff I'm just going to go through like really quick, because you can figure that out if you play the game. But some of the major areas and where you put things on the character sheet, we're going to go through that as we create Helix Brown from scratch. So let's go ahead and move into step number one. Now, the first step is to choose your character type. Now, you may be tempted to think that type is a class. It's not. Think of it more as a template. It's the jump off point. And you're going to find out that is really the case as we move through this. Now, if you have a name already, you can go ahead and you can put your name in. And we're going to look at this section right here, or this whole section over here, because this is actually a sentence. Your character name, which is your character, that's the subject of this sentence. And then you're going to have is a adjective, noun, who, verbs. After we get done with this whole section, it's going to become a sentence, and that really describes your character. There are 4 types that you can choose from in the Cypher System. There is the warrior, the adept, the explorer, and the speaker. Now, if you're going to Numenera and using all of those, there's a whole bunch of them, even from back in the day. There's some back in the day that I liked, and they kind of consolidated and changed them with the updates with Discovery and things like that. I still like them. But these 4 here are kind of supposed to be generic. You know, it's supposed to be, because the Cypher System is a system. They did it so you can get an idea of what each one of these would be in whatever genre that you have. And they've also listed that, so you can look at it here in the different places in terms of the warrior. So the first thing we're going to see here with the warrior is, what is the warrior in a fantasy fairy tale setting? What is a warrior in a modern horror romance setting, like a detective, a guard, a police officer? What are they in science fiction? Probably space marines or security officer or soldier, things like that. So you get an idea of, if you have a certain character type in mind, dependent on the genre, you can just look at these and get a general idea of which one of these types will fit what you have in your mind, your concept. Now, normally when I come to the table, I automatically have some kind of concept. I can look over a game and be like, yeah, I have an idea of, kind of character that I'd like to make. And you can't come to the table thinking that you're going to make, like the Trinity type of deal. You're going to make a tank, you're going to make a healer, you're going to make a DPS. It doesn't work that way. It just really does not work that way. It would be better if you made a character that is closer to whatever concept that you have, or if you don't have a concept, that is closer to the setting that you have. Don't be concerned about trying to cover all your bases, because that's not how you should really play the game in general. You should play the character that you want to play. We're going to put in what Helix is, and actually we'll put in Helix's name since it's right here. He is Helix Brown. So let's do that. And we're also going to put in his type, which is Explorer. Yeah. Let's move on to step number 2. The next one is to get your base stat pools for all of your different stats, for your might, your speed, and your intellect. So for an explorer, this is the starting pool here. So if we go back to the character sheet, I've already put them in here. So you got a 10, a 9, and a 9, but that is not the end of it, because going back, you can see here, you get 6 additional points to divide among your stat pools however you wish, which is why these are not classes. Because there might be 2 warriors in the same group and they are doing things totally different in terms of where they're putting their stats and their ideas and everything. And this just gets more exacerbated as you get further and further into the character creation. So that's why they're not classes, they're more like templates. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go over to the character sheet and I'm going to put those 6 points where I put them for Helix Brown. So there you have it. Got a 10 in might, 10 in speed, and a 14 in intellect. Yeah, that's how we're going to do it, baby. Now you start off at tier 1. You have that. And if you saw that earlier back with the core book, you only get 1 level of effort. You don't get any XP, so you can put a 0 on there. You can leave it blank. You do whatever you want to do there. You also get 1 edge in might. So I'll go ahead. 1 edge there. So that's it for our stat pool. Kind of getting fleshed out a little bit more, but let's move further into this to see how he develops. Next is choosing a descriptor for your character, and this is the adjective of that sentence, so it's just a 1-word description. And this is a list here, as you can see. And in Numenera, there's like 1 list in Discovery, another list in Destiny, just a whole lot of them. So you're using both of them. It might take you a while to choose. But the thing that you probably want to do is kind of just look through these, kind of write down a couple of them that is, that you think describes your character, and then go to that instead of trying to look through all of these. Now, I'm going to go to the one that I chose for Helix Brown, and we're going to take a look at that just so you guys can see what descriptors do. So let's go to Perceptive. Okay, here's Perceptive. Let's see what Perceptive gives to Helix Brown. It says, you miss little, and that's exactly what I had in my mind when I had made him. You pick out the small details in the world around you and are skilled at making deductions from the information you find. Your talents make you an exceptional sleuth, a formidable scientist, or a talented scout. And he's pretty much the first 2. As adept as you are at finding clues, you have no skill at picking up on social cues. And there it is. You overlook an offense that your deduction give, or how uncomfortable your scrutiny can make the people around you. You tend to dismiss others as being intellectual dwarfs compared to you, which avails you little when you need a favor. And if you've been following the astonishing adventures that I have at the website, and also if you're a part of the Leet Squad, it is in our private gilded server, then you're going to see that this has already become an issue. And we're not really all that far into it, but that inability right there has become an issue. Let's see what this gives Helix. So he's smart. It has a +2 to your intellect pool. Okay, so that's going to go from 14 to 16. And then a skill here. You have an eye for detail. You are trained in any task that involves finding or noticing small details. So one of the things here is that there are no skill lists. These are things that you are good at in a general sense. I would just write down finding or noticing small details, or finding/noticing small details, and I'll put that as a skill. The next one is, you know a little about everything. You are trained in any task that involves identifying objects or calling to mind a minor detail or bit of trivia. I would put in, calling details to mind or something like that. The next skill is your skill at making deductions can be imposing. You are trained in any task that involves intimidating another creature. So intimidating creature. So you kind of can get the gist of how you would put this as skills on your character sheet. And then we got to go down and yep, there it is. There it is. An inability. Your confidence comes off as arrogance to people who don't know you. Any task involving positive social interactions is hindered. And that's normally like asking somebody for a favor, at trying to persuade somebody to do something, that kind of thing. It also gives you some additional equipment here. You get a bag of light tools. So that's some additional equipment that you can add there. And in terms of how you start the adventure, these are how you are linked to one or more of the characters who you might be going with in an adventure. So for example, you overheard other PCs discussing the mission and you volunteered your services, so on, so forth. It's a couple different ones here. You can make up your own. You don't have to go with those. Well, those are just some starting points for you to give you some ideas. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put all of those on the character sheet and we'll see what that looks like. All right, so we're back here on the character sheet. So you can see I put in all of those. You had the intellect. So I added those two. So he goes up to 16. So dude is smart. Understand what I'm saying? And you have findings and noticing details, detective, those kind of things, intimidating creatures, calling details to mind, and you have those positive social interactions. I messed up on that one because that is an inability. So I put that over there. All right, so we're starting to see the shape of Helix Brown and who he is. And the last thing I'm going to do is just going to put perceptive up here in terms of my descriptor. Let's move on and see where we can sculpt away a little bit more at creating Helix Brown. So the next step is to finish this sentence about the character, which is to add a focus. Now, a focus is a short phrase describing what your character does. Let me pull this up here. And let's just look at an example here of battles robots, okay? So it gives you a very short description. You excel in battling robots, automatons, and machine entities. And then it's going to give you a couple of abilities here for your first tier. Then you have some second tier abilities, third tier, fourth, fifth, and sixth, which is the maximum tier that you can go up to. Now, in this case, it is absolutely fantastic if you own a PDF version of the Cypher system because, well, you have this little number right here and it will instantly go to where you want to go. So if you have the choice between these two skills, and you really don't because you just get those two skills, but if you wanted to find out, okay, what are they? We go over here and we go to machine vulnerabilities, and it's right here. You inflict 3 additional points of damage against robots and animate machines of all kinds. You can also go backwards and just do the same thing with the other ability, and you won't have to kind of like flip through the pages. If you have an actual hard copy, it's good in this case to just click on that number and just go around, especially when it comes to abilities, because there are a lot of them, a lot. So when it comes to Helix Brown, his focus is solves mysteries. So I'm going to put that in here. And let's go over and see what exactly he gets from doing that. So solve mysteries, it says you're a master of deduction using evidence to find the answer. So it looks like I get 2 here on tier 1. I get one called Investigator and another one called Sleuth. Come on, it's just falling right into his lap as far as who he is. Let's take a look at Investigator. So down here it says, to really shine as an investigator, you must engage your mind and body in your deductions. You can spend points from your might pool, speed pool, or intellect pool to apply levels of effort to any intellect-based task. That's cool, because normally you can't do that. Normally you can only take from the stat that you are using. You can't take from the other stats. But now this ability allows Helix to take it from any stat, and that is Trey cool. Let's take a look at the other one, which is Sleuth. Okay, so Sleuth says finding the clues is the first step in solving a mystery. You are trained in perception, and both of those are what's called enablers. That means that they're automatic. You don't have to spend any points to use these abilities. So let me go ahead and put those on the sheet, and we'll take a look at what that looks like afterwards. Okay, so what I've done here, I put my perception here that he's trained in, which this is just going to be killer, because perception worked with things like called details to mind, finding and noticing details, or detective. I mean, all that stuff's going to work together. This guy is going to be a monster when it comes to just like spotting things. And then I put investigator down here in terms of him being able to spend points from any of his stat pools for intellect-based tasks, which is crazy. That's just crazy. That's crazy. This is what we look like here. So the whole sentence is Helix Brown is a perceptive explorer who solves mysteries. That's how that would end. Now, if you're playing in a group, then one of the things you're going to need to do is to choose focus connections. Now, focus connections just really do exactly what it says. It connects the PCs together with a situation or something that is tied to whatever their focus is. And you can see a whole list of them going on down here. So let's just read number 1 here. Pick one other PC, which is for every single one that you have here. For reasons unknown to you, that character is completely immune to your focus abilities, whether you use them for help or for harm. You don't know why. How about let's look at 18 here. Pick 2 PCs, preferably ones who are likely to get in the way of your attacks. And when you miss with an attack and the GM rules that you struck someone other than your target, you hit one of these 2 characters. It's on and on and on and on. There's a list of 50 of them here. And you can choose that if you are with a group. Now, I didn't choose one for Helix because he's going solo. So he doesn't have a focus connection. If I put him in a group, might be a good idea to choose one of these or 2 of these or however many of these that you want to. You can choose up to 4. So it just depends on how many people that you have in the group and which ones would be more appropriate in the situation or for whatever campaign that you have. So in case you're wondering, yes, the descriptors and the foci are that nuanced. And we're just in part 1 of this. We haven't even gotten to the juicy stuff yet. As you can see, you can create quite different characters, and you should be able to create just about anything that you want to. And you especially will be able to do that once we get to part 2, which comes up, as I said earlier, next Tuesday, God willing. Hey, if you got any value out of this video and you learned something new today, can you do me a favor and just crush the like button? Also, if you want to stick around, hey, we don't just do stuff like this, right? We do tools, tips, tutorials, which is stuff like this, and real talk about the tabletop RPG space and culture. So if you want to continue to get those types of videos, then go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. I come out with videos every Tuesday and Friday, God willing. And sometimes it might be another extra video thrown in there just for good measure. Let's get to the question of the vid. And this one will be simple. So we've got the four types that I listed that you can be in the Cypher system. So which one tickles your fancy out of what you saw? Just on a cursory, right? Because I didn't go into detail for each one, but just on a cursory view as far as, okay, this is my flav, this is what I'd want to make, or yeah, maybe I'd want to go in this direction. Let me know down in the comments below and let's get some of that juicy engagement going. And that will be it, folks. That is going to end this video. So that means that I'm gonna have to do my snaggle puss.
So exit, stage left.
Folks, if you have a game this week, then happy gaming. I pray it is an RPG Elite session. That's what I'm talking about. Know what I'm saying? That's what I want for ya. Know what I mean? So until next time, y'all, I'm just gonna have to say peace. 5,000 leets. Yep, I am out.